Alright, so this is Grungy Junk Journal Flip-Throughs, video number 2. I will be doing flip-throughs of these two videos, or these two journals, sorry. And in the last video, if you did not get to see that, I did a flip-through of these two journals. So, if you did not see that, go on and catch that up. I'll be posting a link to that video in the description for this one, so you can get back and forth easily as needed. Alright, so let's start with this one. So this one is 3 signatures. It's got an elastic button closure here that just pops off, and it's all stretchy because it's elastic, which allows for expanding. And if really needed, you could also loosen up the knot and bring it down a little bit, and it gives you more stretch. I like to use the elastic closures because they allow for as much expanding as you want to do, pretty much. I did these bead dangles here. Just grungy and vintage. This is a vintage photograph of just some people hanging out on some dirty steps. And I did these little embellishment corners. And down here, I've got a nameplate, and I just put a piece of paper in that says journal, but you can easily take that out and put whatever you want in there. And there's the back. Now this one is 9.5 inches tall by 6 inches wide, and it has 144 pages. So here we've got a pocket with a little notebook. Little crunchy papers in there, some jelly print papers, and I put a little beaded tassel on that. This is the strings from the button. I made those into beaded tassels as well. And here we have a vintage postcard from 1924. We've got, on this side, we've got 2 pockets, or a tuck here with this little card, and a pocket here with a tag, and some fun fibers. They're really pretty. They're kind of sparkly. So paper clip, and we've got some stamping and the charcoal. A little rusted key charm here. The impossible is often the untried. Some stamping. I did a lot of grungy stamping in this book. So lots of different types of stamps too. So again, I do lots of crinkly papers or crunchy papers, coffee dyeing, and then coffee staining on top of the coffee dyed papers. Here's an envelope. Just some pretty paper and some sewing. With a card inside. Just extra journaling space. A fun torn pocket here. So grungy. This is some, I forget what it's called, the plastic packaging stuff. We've got a vintage, another vintage postcard, 1946. I grunched this plastic up with some alcohol inks. We've got a rusted washer. Did some collaging on this page with fabrics and papers, different papers. On this side we've got another vintage photograph of women dancing or something on some X's. And we've got a cluster here with some fun things in it. Tag with some fun fibers. I leave these strings on, so if you ever want to add something to them, you can have them hanging down here or having them hanging off the back of the book. So I left those on in case anyone wants to, whoever buys this, wants to add something to it. And if you don't, you can always just cut those off. So here we've got a little notebook. Some fun grungy paper. It's got a nice soft texture to it. Lots of journaling space. Here's a CD holder with another vintage postcard. So it's got some pretty colors in it. This one's from 1915. Got a paper clip here, rusted paper clip. Lots of sewing. This cute little boy here. He's holding on to the pocket. And just some paper here for writing on. Got that digital print here that I've turned into a pocket with some tracing paper. And here's a little notepad. Got a clothespin, a little baby clothespin here, holding on this card. We've got a tab here, grungy papers. Here is a digital print and another envelope that's been sewed on. The card. A rusted paper clip. Some fun paper to journal on. Another tab. And this one was fun. So this is the center of the signature. I used the signature string, the wax thread. And this is a rusted washer. So that just wraps around that to keep that closed. This is all attached to this page, and you just open it up and it's just a little book. And we've got a tuck here. And a belly band here. And that's that. Good chunk of papers there. And none of these papers, all these extra papers in the books, the little notebooks and the little notepads, all that's extra. That's not part of the original 144 page count. So this is actually a lot bigger than 144 pages. And I just wrapped that around there to help keep it closed. And it's also got a long one as well that can be used for adding charms or whatever. Got a rusted paper clip here. Another rusted paper clip. And this one's holding on this card. Here's a notepad. Lots of grungy goodness. This says, life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. And I put some cheesecloth here, some dyed cheesecloth with these buttons. Here's the other end of that signature, so another pocket. And just got some scrap paper in there. And a tab. So here's a rusted bulldog clip holding this pretty little thing. It's another vintage picture. And then that just opens up for some journaling space. I love that picture. I think it's really cool. Some super crunchy tracing paper. Made this into a tag or a tab. And then a butterfly here. And did some stenciling. Got another rusted key charm here. This is some tape that I made, trying to make it look vintage and grungy. I did some grungy wax seal here and paper clip, rusted paper clip. Another tab, and here is where I did some heavy mixed media. Some sewing here. There is stencils and stamping and sprays and gesso and acrylic paints, the dyeing, the coffee dyeing, all kinds of good stuff. Now in the charcoal. Lots of good writing space. Here we've got a tuck with some coffee dyed paper, folded up. It's a full-size page. Here's a little tuck. We've got a little card for journaling and this fun picture that I printed on photo paper. A rusted paper clip. Another tuck spot waiting to be filled. And some stenciling and some fabric here and collaging a frame pretty digital. Lots of mixed media on this page. And we've got some paper doily here as a tab. And another vintage postcard here. No year on this one since it wasn't used, but it's definitely vintage. And that's that one. Now for the last one, and the biggest one. Hopefully I can do this good because my phone got full after my last video, and I had to go take stuff off of it, which took over an hour to clear up enough space to make another video, and it's getting late. I'm tired. So I'm sure you've noticed I've been stumbling for my words. Alright, so this one, I made the cover out of corrugated cardboard, and then I painted it or gessoed it. I can't remember which one. Probably gesso. And then we've got this vintage photograph here. Very beautiful detail. I did some collaging. And then this little frumpy girl. Not happy about something, but she's got her doll. So this one is 228 pages, 9 inches tall by 6.5 wide. It's got a big old 2.5 inch spine. And it's got 5 signatures and a 3.5 inch alligator mouth. So this is a big one. So I might flip through this one a little bit faster, but it's also the most decorated of them all. So we'll see. So we've got this safety pin here with these little rings. And there are little ring beads on those rings. Tiny, tiny little things. It took some time making that. I did some fun stitching on this cloth pocket. And here we've got a bookmark. I really love how this bookmark turned out. It says, keep some room in your heart for the unimaginable. I just cut out a little heart there. We've got this texture here. This is kind of like a wiry string, like a wiry rope feel. And some sewing and some gesso. Here I've got just a card. This was a picture that I printed on photo paper of these cute little kids. Try to get this in frame here. Just folded up that paper to add some fun to this. Got a tab here. And this little thing here for texture. Another tab. This one is lots of tabs. Like, just love it. I love tabs. And so I let myself heavily tab one journal. And that was this one. This is the one I just went all out on. We've got some fabric here. Vintage fabric. A card. Another tab. Oh, cute little fox. One of my mixed media pages. This is one of my favorite ones. I love the oranges. And the bricks. Here's a tab with a journaling card. Just some scrap paper. It's kind of old. I got it from the thrift store and it feels like really old writing paper. So I did not copy dye that piece. This is from a National Geographic magazine, vintage one, like the 1920s, I want to say, maybe 1930s. We've got some of that jelly print paper, and this is just 2 tucks here, just some note paper. So that's the end of signature 1. We've got some acrylic paints here, adding texture. Stamping. Here we've got a notepad that can come off. I glued these 2 pages together, so they're like really thick. And then we've got this fun notepad. Lots of different types of papers in it. And that just sits on top. Another folded page just to add some character. You can do some secret journaling on those folded pages. Some of that tape. I think this page maybe got a little too cooked, so I liked the raggedness of it. Felt like that fit perfectly in my grungy journals. Love this tab here. I used some cloth or some crocheted fabric or something like that. And then I put that little circle in there. Came out nice. Another tab. Here we've got a collaged envelope window envelope with a card in it for writing. More of that tape. Paper clip, rusted paper clip. Love the coffee rings. They were so much fun to make. Here's an envelope with a printed picture holding the flap in. And there's a card in there. Got some metallic spray on that page. Another card. I just did some crazy stuff to it. And this one's got some pretty butterflies. A little less crazy on that one. Tab. Another art page. Here we've got a paper bag, which is super cute. It's got a card in it. Another tab. And we've got a bowl clip with all these fun pages to write on. So again, the 228 pages I said this book has does not include the notebooks, the notepads, or the notebooks. So there is a ton of pages in this book. Lots of room for journaling. There's a fun grungy card. We've got a cluster here with a rusted big old metal button. I bought these clusters on Etsy, so they were not made by me. Same thing with these clusters. There's a fun fabric tab and some texture. Some fun stamping. Here's the other side of that bag. I cut the top part of it open and I made this big old journaling card. Got a rusted paper clip. We are now on to signature number 4. Got a tab here. Lots of journaling pages. This is tracing paper, 2 pages of tracing paper. Inside we've just got some crunchy coffee dyed page. A tab here. These pages were actually dyed with rust. I put rusty fabric. So when I was making my rusted paper clips and stuff, I used some of the water to also dye some fabric, and I put that fabric on top of some papers, and so this has the cheesecloth print on it. This was fun. I love this little book. So it's got this little charm on it, pinky swearing. And you just undo that. Unwrap it a few times. On the other side, the edge of this paper that I had to cut off was this piece with all these hands. And I didn't even realize that that was part of that paper until after I chose that charm. I was just looking at my charms and I saw the pinky swear one and I was like, that feels like it fits this little book, and I chose it. And then after that I realized that the other part of this paper that I had cut off right here was the was those hands. So I thought that was funny that this was the charm that felt right to put on this book. Some vintage National Geographic page here, and just some fun pages. And this one's a pocket with the leftover page. And that just goes right in that paper clip there. We've got a fabric tab here. This tab has some textured stuff on it. The other side of that pocket with the tracing paper. And I put a notepad in here. And 5th signature. We've got pocket here, just some writing paper, tab, a tuck with a tag, and some fibers. Some paper bag. This paper bag actually came as packaging on a journal I bought. And it was so pretty, so I ripped it into some pieces, and I've been using that throughout, because you can always write on the back side, but it's got this artwork on the other side. Got a paper clip there. This is a regular paper clip. Not rusted. And that's just holding this little envelope here. I made it out of coffee dyed vellum. It's got a couple of cards in there. Got a tab here. Some fun sewing, and this is more of that rust paper. So this one had like eyelash yarns or something like that on it. Got a fabric tab here, some fun sewing here. And this is a picture I printed. I used one of those clusters from Etsy, and some scrap paper. And this one's just folded in to add character. Got another big tab, or tag, with a tab. Lots of journaling space on that tag. A tab here. Some scrap paper. Lots of gessoing right here. Makes it so this is like a really thin paper, but with the gessoing and this tape, the Scotch tape here, or masking tape. Is that masking tape? It just makes the paper a little bit thicker, so less easy to tear. And that's the end of that. And in the back pocket here, we've just got another little booklet. And there's that one. So thank you so much for listening to me. I'm so sorry that I keep forgetting some of the words. Like I said, it's getting really late because of some unforeseen things. And I just wanted to get these shown with my two boys. It's hard to make time, so this was my only really good chance. And there they all are. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.